Hi, Joy. It's nice. I'm great. It's great seeing you. Okay, well, this space initially started off just as a memorial garden. And then I wanted to not just make it a memorial garden for my parents who died here, both died here. I wanted to look at some of the elders that had been in this community and put little plaques for them. And so I had some people who had been here generations ago remember the old chicken man, or remember Miss Sewell or Miss Brown that did Bible study, or just different people. And so it started off more intimate. And then there was an opportunity to join a program called Cleveland Garden Walk. And I called when Fairfax decided to join. And I called, and not too many people had called back to say that they were interested in joining. And so I called and they said, well, there's not that many gardeners in Fairfax, and so it's too late to join. And I think that was my impetus to let them know that there are plenty of gardeners. They just didn't call. And so I called the president of Garden Walk, which was Marie Kietrich at the time. I think she still is. She's about to retire. But I said, if I can get just 5 people, can Fairfax be part of the Garden Walk? She said, yeah, maybe 5, 7 or whatever. So the first year we had, I think it was 5. It might have been 7. And then the next year we had 11. And then we had 20. And now we have 30. And really the goal is to beautify, unify, and to encourage people to embrace the wealth of our neighborhoods. Now, I happen to be in Fairfax, and Fairfax is a historic neighborhood. I believe every neighborhood is a historic neighborhood. So not just the Little Italy or the Tremont. Fairfax had the first African-American millionaire on, he owned a gas station on 93rd and Cedar. We still have the home of Jesse Owens. Langston Hughes, his home still exists. It needs to be revitalized. But every neighborhood is a historic neighborhood if we learn the history and if we embrace it. And so my goal as a retired educator is to inform, to encourage people to know their history. Like this neighborhood was named after an African-American woman named Florence Bundy Fairfax. She was a chemistry major and an awesome swimmer and an advocate for youth. And so she did a lot of programming to make sure kids play games so that they can socialize, because games are one way to socialize. And I really tried to, my dream is for it to be a venue where kids play not on the computer, but they play chess and Scrabble and some quiet games where I tutor. I'm a retired math teacher, so my husband's a retired reporter, and so we like to, and we don't charge, but I'll tutor. I help. I'm just a supporter for math, for reading, and for word expression. But, so Garden Walk is a tool that's used to bring some light to Fairfax. But I think wherever any of us are, we can be change agents by bringing light to wherever we are. So someone said, cast your buckets where you are, and I'm sure some of you know that quote, and that's what we're doing. I think Garden Walk started in 2011, sometime around that time. Actually, what happened was there was Cleveland Heights already had Garden Walk, and there's a woman from South Africa, Jan, and I can't remember her last name. She started it in Cleveland. But Garden Walk exists in a lot of neighborhoods, especially suburbs. Okay, so it was great for her to initiate having it start here. I don't know how many communities did it. This year there were 12. Um, Usually there were communities on the west side. So you had your Tremont, Ohio City, Detroit Shoreway, and a number of others. You had Glenville as well, but most of them were on the west side. So I'm glad that the east side is getting represented a little bit more. Little Italy has always been on it as well. But like I said, that neighborhood is considered a historic neighborhood. My passion is to remind people that this too is a historic neighborhood. I dream of there being a museum for Fairfax. It's just a wealth here. And then I dream of people doing that in almost every neighborhood. Um, and then just combining that information as we talk about the wealth of our cities. Okay. Okay. The word wall. I'm blessed to be in a neighborhood that has that's near so many things. The reason my parents moved here was it was near so many things. After the riots, a lot of people moved, and so, but there's a place at Case where you can learn for free how to use some different tools, and I like to use the tools to create. To encourage people to think about their wealth. I think everybody is a change agent, and everybody should strive to feel empowered enough to make an impact. We can all stay on purpose. Now, this is very strange for me to be sitting still, but the word wall. I've said some of the things that are there, but if you look at one of the signs, it says every neighborhood is historic, and I've already expounded on that. I told you a little bit about the history of Fairfax, Florence, Fairfax. Um, there's a quote that says, "Let your faith be bigger than your fears." I think if you have a faith to live by, none of us serve a wimpy God. He really has empowered us all, and so I think having faith and just the fact that you were put here to make an impact can lead one to make that impact. But the word wall has, can I stand up or? The word wall, it just has different quotes, and there's a tree that maybe we'll walk past if we walk through it, but it has a lot of quotes by Nelson Mandela, by Amanda Gorman, by just different folks. So when you walk through this garden, I want you to be enlightened. I want you to think about what those quotes mean, and think about ways that we can all grow. And so so it's a garden, but there's lots of words around if you tune into them. So anytime people come to the word walk, at least this year, because I didn't even have this tree or this word wall last year. Every year I do something different. But the word wall is also a reflection that I'm a retired educator, because if you teach, you should have a word wall. you have words with related to your content. Now, this doesn't look like my geometry word wall or algebra, but it looks like an emphasis on what I'm trying to reinforce right now. So I'm calling this an urban farm and venue, and some of the activities that will be here this month will be a speaker who's going to talk about beekeeping. We're going to have an art person who will help us upcycle some things that we already have and beautify them and take them back to our space. Hopefully not buy anything, just repurpose it. There'll be a guy from the Department of Agriculture, and hopefully he'll tell us some different opportunities that are around. And as like so many people, I'm a cancer survivor, and our bodies go through different challenges, and I'm learning to eat a healthy way. So I got lots of organic vegetables. I used to, and gardening is a is an ongoing journey where you're learning different things. When I first started gardening, I was just obsessed with gardening. I would plant everything, but I don't eat everything. And so now I mainly have kale and collards and a few tomatoes, but just different things that we eat. And we'll do, when people come, when I have gatherings, they might bring food or whatever, but I'll also always have nutritional things. There'll be salads. There'll be water with mint or water with, some fruit in it. But as far as the community, the goal is, like my neighbor next door, she, the first year said, no, I don't want to be part of any garden walk, because a lot of people are very private. But what has happened is we formed a bond, and she said, okay, Vernice. And she did it, and then the lady next door, and then they kept buying more plants, and then this lady down the street. You feel like you're traveling when you go into her yard, and she's proud of it. And the goal is for this to be an area that's beautiful, and hopefully Cleveland Clinic will help in making it an area where people know more about different health options, and perhaps they'll support some of these gardens and help us with even recipes or whatever that are healthy and nutritional. I think most people like a lot of the same things. I mean, you go to parks, you go to places of beauty, and you talk about places like, you talk about other cities that have have beautiful landscapes. Seattle, Washington is beautiful. California is beautiful. But whether you go there or go to some other place or not, most of us are empowered if we're aware of that power to create our own sanctuaries. And so even though I'm pro-community gardens, I'm a garden advocate for individual gardens. And then I'm also an advocate for encouraging people to, why don't we do tea in your yard? Or why don't we, do something in yours? And then it becomes a little bit different. I think when you encourage, I think the only difference between a neighborhood that's empowered and a neighborhood that's not is pride, not resources. And so my goal as an advocate, a garden advocate, or a change agent supporter, is to just remind people of how beautiful their yards are. And so the way I've gotten a lot of gardeners, I'll knock at their door and I'll say, thank you for your eye candy. And then I get to know them, and I tell them that they have to be part of the garden walk. And a lot of them say no the first time. And after the third or fourth time, the majority will say yes. Now, there's some who you knock on their door, they say they think you're a politician or you're out for something. And I'm not out for anything. I'm just really complimenting their yard and encouraging them to share their spaces. And it's amazing the pride that people have when they share their space. However humble or however grand, if you got a few flowers in there, the next year you'll probably have a few more. And then some people, like one person went and I think they cheated. They went and hired somebody to do their yard and do whatever. My yard is lots of not everything, but it's a lot of stuff that got recycled. And it's also a lot of things from, I worked at a plant nursery. And for me, being at a plant nursery is like a kid being in a candy store. I didn't bring a dime home. I just bought flowers and trees home, or their products that they didn't want. And enjoyed planting them or purposing or whatever. And I encourage that for all. I think everybody's artistic in their own way, and it's beautiful to see the unique ways that people start celebrating their spaces. And one day, hopefully, the whole street, the next street, another street. Cleveland's a beautiful place to be when we claim the beauty. Now, I want to thank you all. You're the youth, okay? Middle youth. No, you're the youth, okay? And the beautiful thing, I'm glad you're here. A lot of our youth have left the city, okay? And they're not embracing what's here, the great, the city next to the Great Lakes. But to me, I'm in an oasis. I'm walking distance or bike riding distance from the museums. My husband and I, we now that we're retired, we go to the Playhouse Theater, so we get our yearly tickets. Caremu is right there. We have land, and we're just in this old little house that I grew up in, and there's a memorial garden over there. Like I said, my parents, they transitioned here, and I moved back to where I grew up, and I'm glad to be here. This way, because I'd like you to look at my grandson's old bed. He outgrew it, and then I had him dig holes. And so that's my entrance, and then I painted things the same color. And then I did not kill this tree that I really did like, but since it decided to die on its own, I thought I'd repurpose it. And so if you all were interviewing me, I'd like you to read one of my hanging branches. And the branches are just inspirational quotes from different people. So,
Okay, I'll read this first one here. I never lose, I either win or learn.
and that's by Nelson Mandela. That's what the NM stands for. And do we have someone else reading one other quote?
Sure. The greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall. AEE. Albert Einstein. That's wonderful. That's the first one that just goes.
Thank you. And so, welcome to G's Urban Farm and Venue. And my goal is to be a change agent and to encourage myself to grow and others to grow. Okay, so when you walk through this garden, it's very sentimental because I was 3 when we moved here, and I'm 66 now. And so this is a memorial garden for my parents, and I think I've mentioned that already. But they were change agents in their own right. My father couldn't read, but he brought us so many books, and we read to him. My mother had the heart of, she just had a heart. She could read, and she taught a lot of others to read, even though she didn't have a degree. I got degrees. My mother got pure education. She was much more educated than me. I'm educated, but education is not based on degrees. Okay. So we've always grown up loving weepy willow trees, and that's a curly weeping willow. And I believe in having lavender all around. At this point, I'm trying to have, I had some kids from the botanical garden come once, and I think it's important to know that there's so many edible herbs around us. So lavender you can make tea with. Lavender is soothing. Roses, not only the hips, the petals of roses are actually edible, and a lot of times we don't know how edible a lot of things are. Okay. Yeah, I love lavender. My husband is my partner in life and in growth. We encourage each other to grow. But I went away to visit my daughter, and I came home, and he built me this arbor, or built us this arbor, and so I am forever grateful. So he's my soulmate. An acronym for frogs is faithfully remembering the omniscience of God, or any of the omnis. A woman with a son who was schizophrenic taught me that acronym, and she taught me how no matter your circumstances or the challenges you have in life, you can claim power. And she was such a powerful woman. So we all have challenges, but we have to figure out how we're going to deal with them. Okay. I have plenty of weeds, which is why we have that sign. And I have, now, even though there's lots of furniture, I'm a grand fan of habitat because so much of what we have was repurposed. Okay. That arbor that was built, if you look at the wall of that, that's just a pallet from some of those new houses. Just so we could make a wall with that. But I don't believe in waste. These, well, we'll walk through the garden, and I guess I'll kind of speed it up because I probably talk quite a bit. Okay. Now this.
Yeah, I'm in heaven.
Now this space is a little bit different. We did buy something because my husband retired, and so we celebrated back here. And so, but that was our chicken coop 2 years ago. And the only reason I loved learning about chickens, seeing them walk down the ramp in the morning and seeing them walk up the ramp in the evening. They're so in tune with their natural instincts. I wish I would rise and go to sleep like they do. But here's some daylilies. Not all lilies are edible, but daylilies, not only is the flower edible, the root is edible and nutritional. It's almost like a potato. And that weed that's all across the back fence, when I did give my chickens away, the guy was saying, well, why are your chickens so big? And I said, they ate a lot of knotweed. Knotweed has lots of nutrients. And so many of our weeds have nutrients. And so we would give them so much knotweed. This plant right here is called mullein. And mullein was used for toilet paper. It's kind of has the texture of lamb's ear if you've ever seen that plant. But it also has medicinal qualities for respiratory. So if you ever look that up, it does. And so knowing and I didn't plant that. That's a volunteer plant. So it's amazing how dandelions and mullein and so many things are around us that are for our own health. But we just have to learn. They got rid of that tree when I was working in the plant nursery. I was always there to grab whatever. And I have plenty of cracked benches from the plant nursery. I loved the plant nursery when I was there. Okay. So what I'm trying to do inside the chicken coop now is, that's an apple tree. The trees are pretty small. I mean, it's pretty small, but there's a method called expalier. I think I said it right, where you create a wall. So I have to prune that a little bit more. But there's a blueberry bush on the other side because it doesn't need as much light. But that apple tree is growing. So I have, I'm growing fruit. Some of it looks really good, some of it doesn't, but we're in a process, an ever-going process. Okay, so my husband and I just put this up this year. We're learning. That's all I can say. Now, this is a smaller garden, but we're going to walk through here to get to the other side. I don't think the corn likes it in here because if you look outside, the fig likes it in here. And a friend of mine gave me this banana plant, and she has this is a high tunnel, but she has a greenhouse, and her bananas are growing in her greenhouse. So I'm going to try to I'm going to try to insulate this by putting leaves around it in the winter and see if I can have that opportunity. I'm not going to take you in here, but this is where I plan to do, well, this is all recycled or habitat. And a free window, a door, maybe a $10 door, Leftover, I did get our 1900 home sided, and so I put the siding up, but my husband and I built this. And this was my grandkids' play area. So I'm not sure what I'll use it for now, but hopefully here I'll have games for not just my grandkids, but for others where we're playing chess and Scrabble. My grandson still likes to come back here and play basketball, which means I really shouldn't have those flowers over there, but I'm going to have him transplant. He loses points if they land on my flowers. Okay, so I'll show you just a little bit more of the garden because I know. But so my goal is when people come and I've met the new gardeners, they ask me a lot of questions. I tell them I do a lot of trial and error. And they think I'm a master gardener, and I tell them, no, I'm just a lifelong learner. So this says, proud to be a lifelong learner, proud to be a Clevelander, and proud to be a change agent. Okay, so I'm always exploring, and I learn new things with that exploration. I don't throw much away, so that's why that tree stump is still here. But so this is a fig tree. And then here's some more quotes, and I won't ask you all to read more quotes. This bathtub is sentimental to me. This house is really a smaller. There were 7 of us in this house, and there was one small bathroom, probably the width of this tub, because that was the tub that all 7 of us used. And so when I decided to come back, I retired from teaching in 2015 to help take care of my mom, and then she transferred she died in 2015, and then 2016 I moved back to this house that I grew up in. But that tub, I took it out and said, I'm going to redo this bathroom. And I missed that tub. Those old tubs are much better than this little tub that I replaced it with. But my tall father would use that tub, and we all used that tub, and I didn't get rid of it. So okay, so I'll show you the garden real quick. This is the vegetable garden. Part of the challenge in Cleveland for gardeners is groundhogs. Yeah. And so this garden looked different about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was so proud of my husband and I, because we had already, when I moved back, we had gotten some soil from Ridolph, which is an awesome wealth in our community. And I was all excited about having my organic soil, and I planted things outside this. But I would look outside the kitchen, and the groundhogs were eating everything. And so those beds that were once vegetable beds became flower beds. And so then my husband put this fence up, and I was so proud. And so we had a couple of years of no groundhogs, but groundhogs know geometry. And so after they had studied, a year later, they didn't go around the perimeter. They dug all the way to the center. And in one night, they devoured my awesome collards and my greens or whatever. And so we had to get rid of our whole garden and start again. It doesn't take long for groundhogs to stop you from gardening, but you really can't let the groundhogs stop you, even though they are smart and they do like what we eat. And like I said, they must know geometry to go all the way to the center point and not around the perimeter. So if you look over there, you see lots of kale, curly kale, bumpy kale. There's collards, there's squash, and there's potato bags. And my Brussels sprouts look bad, so don't. And actually, my broccoli is flowering, so don't look at that either. But here is a plum tree. That's a new addition. And we try to keep containers for water. In that greenhouse, there were some blue containers, so we fill those up. And then we let nature fill up a lot of containers and use as little water as possible, but, do what we have to do. Okay, so do you all have any questions for me as I run my mouth here? Okay, so I'll show you. Um, those are blueberries. There's blueberries. There's the plum tree. I'll show you a peach tree. I have hundreds of peaches. Here's a compost bin. It's important to compost. Now, it's also important to know that if you happen to get some toxic soil, there are plants that will absorb the poisons in the soil. Sunflowers take out a lot of toxins in the soil. And then you can do cover crops that will put in a lot of nutrients. And so I'm learning along the way. I felt bad last year. We wrote a grant and we got some soil. I'm not even going to say the company we got it from, but they did not do us right in that soil was so dead. No earthworms or no anything. And about 30, a lot of gardeners got that soil. And so even though they got a grant for these plants, nothing lived in it and nothing so I got rid of most of that soil, but a little bit I kept, and some of it was in these pots. Now I've dumped those pots and put in some new soil, but I'm detoxifying that soil. I won't grow anything in that soil for years, and then I'll put some of my own compost after a cover crop adds nutrients to it. So the sunflower's taking out the toxins. That comfrey next to it, I'll cut that up, and that's going to give lots of minerals. And so I'm learning. And then you have little buckets and different things around to get as much rain as you can. Pardon? You know, when I was young in this house right here, I had plants. They all had names. Love, peace. I was a hippie without the drugs, okay? So I've always loved plants. I loved being around plants. I'm like I said, I'm not a master gardener, but I am an appreciator. Now, this was a treat to myself when I retired. I bought a she shed, and so that's my space. When my husband doesn't know where I'm at, I'm usually in there. He finds me. And gardening is good exercise. I mean, you dig holes, you eat fresh vegetables, and you get to play. Now, this peach tree, I'm learning. A couple of years ago, I had so many peaches, and they were sweet. And then last year, I had about 2 peaches because after all the flowering, the frost hit it, and then it damaged that. But my goal was to learn how to can, to make some chai like my mother-in-law showed me years ago, and I forgot, and to do more with that. I will say something else about gardening, because gardening is one way to commune with nature. And even when I worked in a plant nursery, you almost never meet angry gardeners. I said almost, okay, because they really get in tune with the environment and what's around them. And so to me, if I can get more people to garden, you can get some more peaceful people too, because it's gardening. I think it's like therapy. Yeah. I think gardening, I never knew when I was teaching that I always overcrowded where we lived by planting, but I think it was my therapy. So I was very peaceful with the students, but I would go dig a hole. Okay, so let me, but I wanted to say that the groundhogs inspired me. There was a groundhog hole over here, and I have to clear this area some more again. We put concrete, but even if that's I can't speak right, a challenge. Because I had a groundhog hole, and covered that hole, I learned how to prune trees, okay? Because you want to see the base of your trees so that they don't have so many hiding spaces. And so even if you have critters that drive you up a wall that aren't, a positive thing to have, even they teach lessons if we're ready for them. This prickly pear is edible. One day I'll learn people make jelly with it. I haven't learned, but I hopefully, God willing, I'll have time to learn. And that's basically The garden. This is a place where I dream, and I hope that I can encourage others to dream in their yards and share their yards as we beautify Cleveland.
Hi, my name is Tanya Marie Holmes, and the name of my garden center is Kayla Hill and Garden Center. Okay, well, let's see. In 2009, I asked a girlfriend of mine, who I used to work with at the hospital, if she had a space in her backyard that I could use to grow extra produce and flowers and plants, because my backyard at home was kind of small. And she said, sure, you can have it. So not seeing this yard in years, I'm thinking, okay, I just needed a 10 by 10 space. And she said, here's the keys, you can have it. And I'm thinking, what is she talking about? And so went around the corner, because she lived on the premises of this property. And I came in and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this space? It was tires in here, trash, debris, grass was 3 feet, 4 feet high. It was just like an empty, abandoned lot, pretty much. Her husband used to take care of it. He died, so she had no use for it. And so I told her that we had to do this legally. So we took care of the legal business and paid. I took care of the taxes and things. And I told my husband that next day, I'm like, let's go over here and see what we can do with this place. Bring the lawnmower, because I know we need to cut some grass. And I brought 2 chairs, and at this point, all I wanted to use was just a little bit of space, and now I done got acquired a half an acre. So not knowing anything about anything with farming and gardening since I was a kid. Now, at this point, I was working a farmer's market on West 65th and Clinton at the time. That's why I needed some extra space, because every Saturday at the farmer's market, I'm getting a chance to meet other people who's actually growing food. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm bringing flowers and I'm doing baked goods, because that's what I specialize in. But now I can bring a few more things and make more money. So that was the purpose of inquiring about the 10 by 10 lot space that I only needed. And so I got the keys, came in through the gate, and I didn't know I was overwhelmed. I was kind of emotional, and I just took 2 chairs out of my husband's truck, sat down for about an hour to figure out what I'm going to do with this space, because it was just a mess. So I said, okay, I wanted to grow some vegetables over here. I want the middle to only be flowers and bushes and trees. I want to do some pollinators, because we want to protect the bees and the butterflies. So that's kind of how that started. And you couldn't even see the concrete that we're standing on. We didn't even know it was concrete. That's how overwhelmed it was with bushes and vines and things. So until we started cleaning up every chance we got, we would come over here, do the cleanup. The neighbors would not speak to us. They would just wave. They wouldn't speak. I guess they figuring what they're going to do with that. It's been a mess for so long. These are all new homes over here. Most of these people work for the city or federal government, so they tired of looking at this ugly space. So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm paying attention to the community, and I realized that there's some things that shouldn't be going on that was going on. So as of today, it's a quiet street. The property value over here has gone up because we've been here. We've brought back a lot of bees. I brought back a lot of butterflies. We now have deer walking next to the fence thinking they want to come in and eat up everything. So we try to bring back nature back to our community. At the same time, I decided, okay, this is a lot of work for me and my husband. I'm getting the grandson coming. He's 3 years old. He's working like a 10-year-old. So he's 13 now. He's been with me all summer, because he's been with me since he was 3 working over here. So he was a big help. It's a lot of work doing farming and gardening. So I realized maybe I can sign up with YOU and maybe get some kids in the summertime to help with some of the work. So that's what I've been doing since 2015. I've been getting YOU kids in the summer, up to 32 kids in the summer, and we teach them how to grow food, identify what seeds look like, how big seeds are, when to plant it, how to plant it. We start off in pots, and then we go and put some in the high tunnel when necessary. So that's how we kind of started off with. My girlfriend owned a lot, and she didn't realize that this is 3 partials, and out of the 3 partials, because she hadn't taken care of it, out of the three, one was already in foreclosure. And so when I went downtown to take care of the paperwork, they said, "Hey, did you want that one too?" I said, "Well, it's already connected, of course." So the taxes I took, it was kind of high. I took care of the taxes and got rid of those taxes on this property, and the rest is history.
Um, what is truly, would you say, is truly special about this neighborhood? What is really working here, and what are some of the challenges?
Some of the challenges right now today is it's a quiet street for the most part. People are homeowners over here, and everybody mind their business and stay to themselves. And it's kind of like a community in a sense. But one of the issues we're having now is you get new people come in and buy a home, and it doesn't occur to them, wow, this is a nice street. This is a quiet street. I just bought a house over here. Let's continue that. They don't look at life that way. So they bring their drama over here too, putting grills on the porch and kids playing in the street when it's a park 3 doors down. It's those are some of the challenges. Trash day come, the trash is out 3 days before trash day when legally you're supposed to put it out the night before or that morning. So there's some challenges. Crime has it went from crime being 100% terrible to having no crime at all. There has been dead bodies on the street at one point. Prostitution was going on before we got here, and now we've gotten rid of all of those things. You know, the drugs, the prostitution. I'm the president of the community block club over here, so we take care of the park as much as we can. It's gotten kind of overwhelming lately because some of the members of the block club are now older and they not can't come out and do anything or have died and passed on. So I was just telling some of the neighbors this morning. They were telling me some of the concerns that they having at night over here with some of the new people. And so I'm going to be working on a newsletter or to get out to them as soon as possible. And I know city council the city council member that's over here, Richard Starr, has been here before with one of his community events. They want to come back again and bring the community out so he can have some of these issues addressed that people are having in the community.
What would you say is working?
What's working is me being here because I started to give up because we've had some theft several times, and I felt like I've been here so long and I'm doing so much for the community. Like we've gave out school supplies and book bags over here. We did census application in process. We did voter registration here. We've had jazz in the garden here. We did wine tasting here. We did Juneteenth events here. We blocked the street off. I'm on the police board, so the police come and celebrate. City council celebrates. I have some of my friends are state representatives. They've been here and celebrated. So we've had all these different events here for the community to come out. And it's a place where people that's like, oh my God, it's like this lady here that just came. She owns several properties in this community. And she just pops up, just to talk. And so it's a community. We need that in our community. People to look after each other and check on each other. Well, my background is nursing, over 40 plus years, so I know people pretty well. And what I've learned in this new era we are in now is that some people can't take criticism, and some people don't know how to do better when they can do better. They want to stay stuck in where they are. And so I have a tendency to do a lot of events to bring people together so we can kind of let everybody know we love you. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's going to be all right. You can do better. There's some changes. What do you need? People call me all the time. Miss Holmes, I'm looking for a job. Miss Holmes, I'm looking for some place to live. Miss Holmes, and I'm a resource person. So people come here. She probably wanted some information because I know she was having some issues with crime on nearby, and I'm on the police committee, and so we had made some suggestions to her. So when we have certain events that's benefiting the community, it's just unfortunate that the people who live the closest don't participate. You live on the west side, you be over here with getting a free book bag. When I asked the people, where you come from? You live in the community? Oh, I live from Lawrenceville. How'd you find out we were giving book bags? Oh, I saw it on Facebook. Oh, I saw it on the internet somewhere. You get all these people from everywhere to come get the resources, but the people who live over here, you put a flyer at their door or you verbally say, hey, we're going to have something next week, they won't show up. And then they show up when it's over with, some of them. So that's some of the challenges, of people actually participating, thinking, hey, somebody trying to help you. Well, like I said, I've been a nurse for over 40 something years. I retired in 2006 because of a back injury that led me paralyzed, that I couldn't walk. I had to learn how to walk. It took a year for that. Therefore, the next thing I did, besides feeling sorry for myself, was get a new computer and start figuring it out. And that led me to being one of the East Side locations for Barack Obama's campaign, which in my house personally, my house where I live today, I've had over 5,000 people come to my house to get packages. So I sent them out to knock on doors and different things. I had an office in the Broadway area where people would come and sign up and volunteer and do phone banking and different things. So I'm a community person already. I've been like that since I was a teenager. When I lived in New York City, I helped the first black mayor of New York City, David Dinkins, get to become mayor. So I'm community based. I love to find out what's going on because no matter what happens in our community, we live in our community. You know what I'm saying? We can't keep saying, well, the mayor not doing anything or the president not doing. I always say, what have you done? Did you clean up your front yard? Did you make sure that your trash was good? The senior that lives next door to you, did you check on her? So I always start at home. You start at home and start in your community. Like I was saying to you earlier, I found out that you are a beautiful artist. So my first suggestion to you is get a space and do what you got to do. Don't hold on it. Hold on to that talent. Let somebody else see what you're doing. Somebody else out here is probably doing this, want to do the same thing, and they can look up to you. So when people come to me and say, Miss Holmes, I've been homeless for 4 years. Do you know anything about housing? Probably do. Because I keep in touch with different organizations and different people to find out the resources. There's been times when I've actually went downtown to our city hall for take care of some business, and I'm thinking, wow, there's a table down here. The table it had to be 20 feet plus, and I said, let me go see what these flyers is on the table. I go and look. They got free hot dogs and free soda for kids if you go skating. But how are the kids going to find out about it? It's in City Hall. Those people in City Hall that lives in there live in different communities. That's right. But are they taking these flyers and sending them out in the community that needs to be? So I would be that person that take a whole bunch of them at one time, stick them in my big old bag, and then take them into the community. Hey, they're giving out free hot dogs, and if you go skating, that's just me. I'm not going to blame somebody for not doing it. I'm just going to be the person that do it. It's always been that way. Senior citizens can get free paint to paint their houses or their garages or their basements. How many people know that? They're not on the internet. They're not finding out from the website. Unless you send them a flyer or something through the mail or verbally by face to face, they're not going to know that these programs are out here. So I just became, okay, well, I'll just add that to my list. And now I got such a big list. Such a big list. It comes natural to me now. Well, that town hall that you came to, that was my second town hall. And I felt like some of the resources that we have here in Ohio for urban farmers and gardeners, it's not getting it to the people who need it. And so what happens is if there's a $75 million grant available for people in that space, how are they going to find out about it? One, who they're going to talk to about it, and then the list gets bigger. And so I started making phone calls and going on my Facebook page and finding out who are urban farmers, who's the urban farmers, who's the gardeners, and asking them, hey, how your farm going and what do you need? And listen to so many people. Everybody had the same issues. No one's helping us. No one's helping us with water. No one's, I don't know how to file a grant application. I don't know how, all these things. And I'm thinking, okay. So I decided to call up those resources and say, we need you to come and talk about where the resources are. So my next move is getting the same resources, making a list of it, and then having the actual farmers and gardeners meet me in a space where computers are set up, and we're going to figure out how to do a Dunn's number. We're going to figure out how to do a Sam's number. We're going to figure out how to fill out an application for $72 million. You see what I'm saying? We're going to figure out, what do you need to start a business? Do you have a business plan? How you do taxes? All those things, because see, people get into urban farming thinking, I'm just going to grow some vegetables. I'm just going to be healthy, help my community. But then once you go past the third or fourth year, you realize this is becoming something bigger than it when you originally thought it would be. Now it's a business now. So that's where I was. I never thought I was going to do it. I was trying to open up a bed and breakfast and stick to the nursing situation thing and be happy. But that that didn't happen. So because I was working at the farmer's market, I'm thinking, okay. And then when I got the property, I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this property? And it just became bigger and bigger. Farmer of the Year for the state of Ohio, Humanitarian Award from Alpha Kappa Alpha. Just like all the accolades started coming, and I didn't even realize it. I was just doing the work. Just doing the work. It comes natural to me because I'm a talker. Told you that. I'm a talker. I'm born in Cleveland, raised in the Bronx, New York City. I've been in New York over 35. My son is 40, be 41 this week. So he was born and raised in New York. So I've been in New York. I've been around every culture of people that you can think of. I used to speak 3 languages. I can only remember 2 of them now, if that. I love to cook. So I like to be around people. I'm the oldest out of 8 kids, siblings. I have other siblings. There's 8 of us. I'm the oldest. So I'm used to being around people. I'm used to helping people. And so just because I'm not doing nursing, I didn't turn it off because I want to do community stuff. You talked about soil?
Like some people talk about how rich the soil is in some of these urban communities.
Well,
But also how rich it is because of the people who are in it.
well, first thing first. This is Ohio. This is Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio is a huge commodity because of the lake. Because of our lake, we have different organizations, different people from all around the world trying to move into Cleveland. But us Clevelanders, some of us don't realize that. We into something beautiful here. You look at global warming that's going on right now, and all the states is getting too hot, or the levels of water is getting too warm. We have a lake here. That's going to be here. We're close to Canada. That's good. That's a good thing. As far as the soil is concerned, when you start off as an urban farmer or a gardener, you better make sure you know what you're doing with your soil. You just can't just put some food in the ground and expect it to grow and be not poisonous, so to speak. You want to get your soil tested as soon as possible if you're going to be doing something in the ground. I always tell people, start off in pots so you know how to grow it, what to grow it, how big, what you can take care of. I always tell tomatoes is the easiest thing to grow because they love water, they love sun. You know what I mean? So as far as the soil is concerned, we have good soil here because it's mixed. It's got clay in it, it's got sand in it. It's great for different things you want to grow, but you better do a soil test before anything.
What does it take to sustain this work? Are there any holes in your resources?
Are there any holes in this work? Yes. Our culture has been, what can I say? Our culture have been so used to getting paid for everything that people, when you ask for help, they just will assume you got to get a paycheck. And I'm trying to teach my summer youth kids, including my grandkids and my nieces and nephews, everything is not all about money. Sometimes there's an education that you need to be learning. Sometimes there's something that when you give back, it comes back. We gotta, regardless what God you believe in, there is a higher power that's bigger than all of us, and he or she wants you to do well as a person, as a person, human on this earth. Therefore, you have to be good to people. You have to be good to people, and the blessings come back. So volunteering can be real tricky when you're doing urban farming. Some people will volunteer. Sometimes, you got to do a certain event just to get, like if I want to do some cleanup over here, I'll do a cleanup. I just have one big event. I'll get about 15 to 30 or more volunteers to come out and help that day. That helps. But to get volunteers on a regular basis, including any other job, is hard. So a lot of times I've actually paid people who wanted to work and paid them. So trying to get some help is tough. That's big, because it's not easy being out here. I've got 3 shades blacker since I've been out here. Beautiful, but it's it's hot. It gets.
Do you have to apply for a lot of funding?
As far as the funding is concerned, because I know where the funding is. I know that we have companies and businesses here in Cleveland that if you fill an application, you might be qualified. But the thing that always upsets me when it comes to our businesses, I think in the country, more so here in Cleveland, is this. If I am doing great things for my community, not just for me, but for you too and you, why can't you give me some help? When the federal government comes down state to state to give funds, why can't urban farmers be on that list? Because you know for a fact that urban farmers, most of us, we're hosting kids in the summertime. What that mean? We're keeping them safe for so many hours a day. We're teaching them something positive so many times a day. We showing them how to eat healthier food so they don't be sick. You know what I mean? I take them one-on-one and say, before this program ends, you have to do a vision board. Where you see yourself in 5 years? I've been doing this for years. Some of the kids still call me back. They're in college. They boxing or whatever the case is. You know, so if funding is I know where the funding is, but to get it, they want you to be a nonprofit. And that's annoying to me and several other urban farmers and gardeners in the world, from what I've spoken to other states. If you're a nonprofit, yeah, you're doing what you got to do, but you're not in the field. You in the office. We in the fields actually doing the work. I don't sit behind a desk all day long. I'm out here talking to people, listening to people crying, listening to all kind of stories about who needs what resources is available. Some people don't even realize the resources that we have out here. So when it comes to urban farming and gardening, one of the biggest issues we have is the funding is available, but it's tricky to get it. And that's why when I did the town hall meeting, some people mentioned at the town hall meeting, I don't have time to do applications. I'm worrying about my kids. I'm out there in the field. I'm out in the field. So I try to partner with people who know how to do the work. And if I have to pay them to do a grant or a proposal, that's what I can do, because that's not my space. I know how to do it, but it'll take me forever, because I'll be stressed out as soon as I look at it, because most of those applications is 35 pages to 100 pages long to tell you about what you can do, what you can get. But then when you put your name and your information on there, it's whole tricky. It's a whole nother situation. So funding is out there, but you got to know how to get it, or know somebody to know how to get it for you. This is why I do the town hall meetings, so we can start having classes and workshops to get people prepared. Whether you do good do a proposal or do grants or whatever your space is, everybody has something they're good at, you know, and we try to put them in those spaces. And if you're not good at it, then we can do it as a group together. Oh yeah, it's an LLC.
Okay.
And I just March, I just received my I just received my nonprofit status, and soon as fall come, I'm sitting at home, I'll do my 501c3 part of it.
Okay.
Because that's the only way I'm gonna be able to get more grants, unless I have somebody partner with and all of that. And I'm okay with partnering, but I'm gonna keep that to myself. I'm okay with partnering, but some businesses that's in our state that most people would think, oh, there's a good partner, they'll stick with you when the money come, and then the money take a long time to get to you. I don't have time for that. And most people that's doing the work, we don't have time for that. If you're going to give me a grant, I tell you what I'm going to do with it. Come see if I did it. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? You need a receipt? I can show you a receipt. But don't hold me up for 3 months until you figure out, okay, you know, our paperwork. I don't know how nothing goes. So planning anything for them is a win. I help them show me how to create a bed. The higher the beds, the less the groundhogs will get in there. There's some eggplants growing in there.
Oh, cool.
Some white eggplants, some green, some purple ones, some bell peppers. If you guys are going around talking to urban farmers and gardeners, if they need anything, give them my number. because we're trying to set up a network of togetherness and as a group in our state. We're working on a proposal coming up this fall to send to City Hall because, like I said, funds come to our state, and I feel like you can give our urban farmers and gardeners some of that fund, some of those funds. If you can give Huntington Building downtown money for a new patio for seats, and it's a brand new building, I'm sure you can find some funding for water. We changed the laws and ordinance for bees, for butterflies, for goats even in our community. Goats is on some of people's property because they don't want to do the lawnmower thingy. Okay. You changed the laws and ordinance for bees, for butterflies, even for chickens. But no one thought about changing the laws and making things to use water. You need water to do all of those things. And we don't get any help from the city of Cleveland. So get me started. I'm going to leave it here. That's the political part coming out. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day.